All right, we are live on the gauge, episode 15. All
15.
right.
I don't have my thing my anyway to make it official with my quickie. It's over there. So I'll be more prepared next time. But yeah,
One day we'll have that
one
back.
day. I think I need a better one. That one's dry erase and it doesn't always erase.
Carla, you're back. You're back in the office, and then I'm at home this time. So we
I
flip
know we're
flopped.
mixing it up. And then we have our special guest here in the middle, which is Doug McCullough of Advocates Home Inspection. We are thrilled to have you here with us today, Doug.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we thought that this would be a good opportunity for you to kind of come on this show and tell us all the things you know about life and home inspections.
Beginning with the book of Genesis, or where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start there?
Give me some parameters here.
Start at the very beginning about the day of your birth.
Well, I'll go my little introduction first, real quick here.
After Dan says what he's going to say.
Hey, because I did write something up. Okay.
Right.
Oh,
I did a little bit of
Right
homework.
Right on.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say, yeah. So Doug is no stranger to HomeGauge. He's no stranger to the HomeGauge team. Because Doug is known for causing a lot of laughs around the office. Whenever we're on anyone is on a call with him, it always ends up with a big smile and a bunch of laughs around the office. We've had the pleasure of meeting Doug at our last in-person training, which was not that long ago, a few months ago, this last spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've actually been following Doug for quite some time now, because you're quite active on Instagram with your videos that you post, along with being a real estate investor and a former builder for over 30 years. It's safe to say that Doug has seen some pretty crazy things over the years. So yeah, and with that, I'll leave the floor to you, Doug.
I appreciate it, Jan. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. And definitely, it was great to meet you all back. I guess it was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It was in March.
God, was it really that long ago?
Oh yeah, time
It
flies.
was that long ago, or otherwise known as 20 years.
Yeah. No, it was a great trip down though. I met up with you guys there and did the training for 2 days, which is funny you think, because I've been with you guys since the very beginning. That's been some years now. But the funny thing was, like, I actually signed up for the class and wasn't able to make it. This is like pre-COVID. And then through one thing or another, with everything with the world going crazy and everything that happened, just when I finally came back around, as soon as I saw it on Instagram, you guys posted like, hey, we're going to have a live training. I was like immediately like, log me in, blah, blah. And it was really cool because they're like, hey, we owe you a credit. I was like, yeah, sweet. So it was cool. Came down, stayed there for the duration. Brought the dog with me because it's a pet friendly place where we were at. So got to roll down with the dog. Just a great trip. Funny fact, I didn't get to share with you guys when I came down there. I passed by because I'm coming out of Northern Virginia, Alexandria area is where my wife and I live. I was coming down, whatever it was, like 70, whatever it was, whatever. I just go wherever Waze tells me to go. But I'll be honest. But I remember passing by because there's a about 2 hours away from me. I did an inspection for a realtor that was just going to start. That he was part of a team, and like he finally got his first deal. And he told me where it was. I was like, and he's like really shy. I was like, dude, I told you, I'll help you. Okay. But the funny thing was that exit that I get off of was another exit that I was coming down to see you all. I just happened to get gas and just happened to pull off the same exit. And there was, surprise, a Radio Shack. And I went inside that. I don't have it with me. I went inside that Radio Shack and I bought a CB. I bought a CB.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I actually went to Radio Shack. A Radio Shack was still open because we saw Radio Shack in Alaska too, where we live. But it's like so rare. So I saw one. I was like, I want a CD because I'm driving down. I'm playing like Eastbound and Down, Smoking the Bandit. The dog and I are singing along with it. I was like, this makes this makes it even better. Of course, my wife, she's like, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah, no, it's great, right? That's why you married me. So, but yeah, no, it was a great trip.
You're like Smokey on the left, Smokey on the left.
Yeah. Lost sheep to shepherd, all kinds of Dukes of Hazzard stuff going on. Yeah, but it was great, And I mean, I know you think like, well, dude, you've been with us for 6-7 years, whatever it is now. Like, don't you know how to use the stuff? But my fear was that I didn't know how to use like the software. So coming down there was exponential for me because yes, I have my personal phone. I also have one that I use just for solely a companion. But I want to make sure I was dialed into everything because I knew that I I just knew in my heart that a lot of things I was doing, I was probably going around my elbow to get to my rear end. So coming to the training was really cool, because I was like, oh, there is an easier way to do this. Oh, I am an idiot. It's like now it's like breaking those habits. I kind of already laid the tracks.
Right,
So,
right.
but it's just,
That's the case with a lot of different
yeah,
softwares. Like even with my particular job, I deal with a lot with like graphic design and like graphic design softwares, right?
right.
And so there's always the long way to do it, and then there's always those shortcuts that once you learn those different shortcuts and those easier ways to go through the software, then you're like, oh, I could have been saving so much more time this entire
all
yeah.
along
So
for
Yeah.
years.
it goes the same.
It really does. And I mean, to get to know me, you'll find out, that I'm all about like, this isn't the first business I've owned. I've owned a construction company. I've done several other things, but what I've always known and what was taught to me at a younger, more impressionable age is being, organized and consistent and having systems in place, how good that is for your business. So literally, that was what I did. I focused, one of the things, and we'll talk about that in a bit, I'm sure, with the questions, but just getting streamlined and getting a whole system down and
Right.
compartmentalizing and get everything like now. Yeah, I used to take like 5 or 6, like I don't want to say I will hours, like to figure out how to write a report, because I was just like nervously taking pictures. Like as long as I have a picture, I know I can move it. And meanwhile,
Right.
you can read like War and Peace while I'm trying to put together the entire, or at least the Old Testament of the Bible. But the funny thing was like once I learned how to streamline, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really writing and editing an entire report. For me, which sometimes be 200 pages on my pictures I take.
Right.
I'm doing it in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then that includes like editing, like circling pictures, putting arrows on things, and saving, automatic comments that I have. Like my template's so flexed out. There's literally like I'm always like working out there. Like I always have a legal pad that like if I think of something is more efficient or maybe eloquent way to explain something, I'll take the time to upgrade my template. And that's just been exponentially good for me. And that's really, I wish I would have done that at the very, very beginning. So,
right. I mean, better late than never,
Yeah. I mean, I turned 45 next month, so hey, here we go.
So you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, this is coming from the guy like 1999. I was like ready. I was like, oh god, if computers don't work, I'm gonna be so valuable. Everybody's gonna need me. And we know how that went. So, begrudgingly,
Right.
I learned how I'm getting better with computers. So, but yeah, but no, the training was great. It really was, and it literally helped me to streamline even more. And I met some other cool people too. They're literally there for the same thing. Like, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. And I also, at the same time, I was like, the tip of the iceberg for stuff that was available, and I found some more tricks too. So it was really a great experience. So even if you have been with HomeGauge for a while, I highly suggest going to the training and checking it out.
Oh, look at that, Dan. I love it when you have those fun little graphics. So yeah, you can check out the in-person training school, and actually the September session, the next class we're having is September 20th through the 22nd, and it is for advanced users. So it is intended for people who absolutely have used the software and are just looking for ways to become more efficient and to learn some tips and tricks that you can really only get from kind of an in-depth, intensive training class.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yeah, so I don't know, Carla, did you want to go through some of these questions that we had lined up for Doug here?
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to talk about home inspections now, because I think that's what everyone is here for. They want the dirt on home inspections. So I know that, we talk to home inspectors all the time that tell us like the craziest things. So I'm curious to know from your experience, like, do you have any memorable stories that you can share, or like just the wildest thing that you've seen on a home inspection?
Usually when I get this question, because I'm coming up on over 2,000, inspections pretty soon here. Usually when I get this question, I try, and I know for some people that's like not even a whole lot, but it is for me. I'm thinking to myself like, it's so hard to answer this question. I'm like, normally like, can we narrow it down to a genre? Because I mean, what's the craziest electrical thing? What's the craziest plumbing thing? What's the most irate seller thing you've seen? What's the craziest thing you've seen hidden? And I mean, probably some of my favorites are hidden things that you find that like deep in your heart, the sellers hiding. And I had some real gems from like during the time of the pandemic, like at the height of the pandemic. when everything's going crazy and people are waiving a lot of stuff, and like inspections for insurance weren't happening. I saw some crazy stuff fly by. So I'd say I would say craziest flip. I'll say craziest flip. I'll start with that one.
Okay.
Craziest flip. I had a realtor I used to work with a good bit. She's since moved to another part of the world. She's military like we are, so every once in a while I get moved. But she and her husband got moved to Florida. But before she did, like during the pandemic, she called me. She's like, "Hey, I need a walk and talk." And I was like, I don't do walk and talks. I mean, I refuse to do walk and talks. Period. I won't do it. And she said, "Well, I know you'd say that, but here's the deal." I said, "Give me the address. Let me see what I can do for you." And I looked at the address. I knew, like, okay, the buyer's not going to be there. You promised you'll lock the door behind us. Nobody else is allowed in. Blah blah. It's our house exclusively. I need 2 hours. She's like, "Well, I get you an hour and a half." I was like, "All right, I can work with that." So I was there like 30 minutes early. I'm outside. I'm trying to be discreet. But it's kind of hard when you got like a huge zoom camera. You're taking pictures of roof from across the street. People are trying to sniff you out. I mean, I'm not wearing anything that has my business logo on it. I'm being as discreet as possible. And then come to time, like we're like straight through the door, bombing inside, like locking everything. And I'm going for it, but I knew where the electrical panel was, and I like to tell people when you inspect a house, know the era and know the area. Those are two really important things. And if you're not looking up a house before you're going, you're doing yourself a discredit, because there's so much more you can learn. So I learned when the house was built, where it was, and all these important things I want to. So, okay, I'm like, all right, this is during a time frame where there's materials they don't use anymore. And these are things that are major issues, or people are calling major issues, and some companies don't even insure. One of those things is aluminum wiring. So solid aluminum wires on 50 and 20 amp breakers, if you don't know, is not synonymous with great. There's numbers of ways to go around it, but again, knowing that you worked in electrical too, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I like make a beeline, because I look at it because it's overhead utilities. So the line comes right over top. So I go in and I go straight down into the garage where I know this panel is, and I'm looking at it and like seeing where the wires are going to the house. So I'm just having to go fast. And I get in the garage. All the garage has been repainted, except for this piece of new plywood that's on the wall, and there's a brand new electrical panel. So I open the door, no county sign off. I'm like, oh, this is good. No county sign off, no sticker. I know what's going on. I know what's going on here. And things have changed since then, but not give that. But I was like, somebody flew this one under the radar. And I know the reason why they did it is if somebody's going to do a walk and talk. If you don't know real fast, a walk and talk is popular in my area. Like I say, you got 30 minutes, and they'll hire an inspector. An inspector will make a sign a waiver saying, "You can't sue me. This is an inspection. You can't record me. You can't take my picture." It's just, I think it's discredit, so I refuse to do them. And no anybody does, but I refuse to do it. But I guess they were working for somebody, hoping that somebody get a walk and talk, because I opened up the electric panel. I found, there's a door. I found out that, and I was like, okay, this was a dangerous panel. This is one of the 4 notorious brands we had to have a different conversation about with buyers. If you know what I'm saying. So I'm looking at that and like, all right, I'm going in. So I take the dead front panel, I take it off, and the entire house is solid aluminum wire conductors. So I know, but here's the kicker: they painted all the wires all over them because it has aluminum on them. So later I'm underneath the house and I'm like taking pictures of aluminum. But I'm like, you wouldn't know this if you didn't open the panel. And I know why you did this, because you bought that. I looked at the records. It's like, you bought this house 2 months earlier. Now you're selling it for over $200,000 more. Everything is Glacier Bay, which is Home Depot. Everything is this played out bluish gray. Everything is, it's just like, this is so flip, like the cabinets are banging on each other. They're not even lined up. All the appliances are brand new. So that's like the first thing. I go into the basement, and they've added more bedrooms. And the problem they had is that they had a medium efficiency furnace. If you don't know, we have natural gas furnaces up in our area for a lot of places. And a medium efficiency furnace relies on internal air for combustion. That means it has to take air from inside the house to start. Well, they had walled it off so much that it was starving for air. So it's pulling air in through the exhaust of the gas water heater. And the top of the gas water heater is covered in soot. Not a single carbon dioxide detector in the house. I go up the stairs, and I'm like, I'm in the attic, and they're bragging about enlisting the pull down stairs that they cut 4 structural joists out of the roof to actually face the wrong way. And I'm like,
and meanwhile, that sounds like a nightmare.
Meanwhile, my buyer's Air Force, he's in Korea, and I'm known for working with a lot of people that are overseas, like embassies, military is where I live. Yeah. And, we're not allowed to say whether you should or shouldn't buy a house. It's not our place. We're there to educate people. Right. That's our job as inspectors. And I'm like, how do I say don't walk, run? You know, you know, like, and I mean, I say, and I did it by saying like I tell people I'm transparent. I'm gonna tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, we're gonna have a discussion about all of it, but they escalated $60,000 over asking price and missed it. The house sold in the same day. I can just about guarantee you the person that bought it has no idea about half the stuff I found about it. So
was this like right outside of a post?
Yeah. So this is actually. Are you familiar with Northern Virginia?
I am not, but
okay.
I mean,
so this is very close. We have.
I'm quite familiar with some
base housing,
shady houses around the military post.
Right on. So we've got the Pentagon, we've got Fort Myer, Fort Belvoir. You know, we got a lot of bases, and a ton of bases. I'm only scratching the surface. My wife's across the street from Joint Base Andrews. So I mean, there's a lot of that here. So you do find a lot more of that here. But you know, if you don't do the job, I tell people all the time, either I do the full job or I don't do it at all. Yeah, right. And that's a great example because I mean, if they would have found that later and I'd missed all that, then that would be a hard discussion, you know.
Well, because with military and everything, you know, a lot of those guys, if they're not going to be living on post, they're trying to find a house off post and try to do it quickly, you know. Yeah. And so I feel like probably those flippers think that they could get away with doing stuff like that,
100%.
You know, with and taking advantage of those guys, and that sucks. You know, I was in the military, and so I know.
I was going to say Dan is speaking from experience.
So I mean, it sucks in that they think that they could do that, you know. So
and it does, but I mean that's why you get an inspection. My heart does go out, not just because of what we do for a living, how I make our money, but my heart goes out to people at the wave because I mean, last year the majority of my inspections until October, I was looking at going through like, you know, my all my billing with HomeGauge payment and everything. I was looking through like, okay, and I was like looking through. I remember I was like going through my dashboard, and like I was like the majority of the houses were actually post purchase. And you talk about a weird conversation, you know, when you have to like, you know, tell somebody this is what I found, you know, it's a little different. So a lot of it's in how eloquent you can be.
Right.
Shit. It won't kill you. You'll just wish you were dead. You know, like, how do you say that nice? You know, like you just dropped over $1 million this place. And whoa, buddy, you got an uphill battle. I know. I mean, I never say that. I never say that to somebody.
Right.
Obviously, but you know,
you might think it, but you don't.
Yeah, it's rough.
Well, this kind of leads in nicely to the next question, which is, we know you've been doing this for a long time and you have tons of experience. What would be the best advice that you would give to a new inspector, someone who's just getting into inspections, to help them, you know, succeed and grow their business?
Yeah, definitely. And this is something I'm really passionate about. So I'm really glad this question came up. I love helping people. I've had the honor of helping 3 different people. Actually to get their license that have shadowed underneath me and started their own businesses. It's really cool. Now I have somebody actually shadowing to work for me. So that's a really, really awesome process and really happy about that. But I have a lot of advice. First, you know, definitely check out your school, check out where you're getting your training from. See, you know, definitely vet them. I had a great instructor, Casey Hart and Company in Virginia here down at Virginia Beach. I actually drove down because I looked up and his reputation out of this world. I mean, he contributes to a lot of different like articles and things. He's in the know. He's very, very, very educated and a businessman. And that's who I want to be taught by. I want to be associated with somebody that really has worldly experience for what it is we do. So big shout out to him. Also do a lot of my online continuing education. That's another thing I say. It's all about, you know, I actually wrote this down. It's really all about, you know, getting, not only knowing what you're doing, but getting better, getting more certifications. When you're first getting started to get your license, it may seem like a lot, but I encourage people to keep pushing, become an expert. Like anybody that can afford it, you know, can buy this, you know, $500, $600 infrared. But, you know, and I've seen reports where I'm just like blown away. I'm like, literally, like you see a report where you can just tell somebody just literally like walk around the house like this and notate everything. It's like, you know, take the time. It's an online class that you can take, you know, or you can go in live and become a certified thermographer. That'll help you. And I mean, it's helped me exponentially. But the best advice, really, not just continue learning at all times, always be learning. You can always get better. We're going to have downtime in the industry. So it's a great time to do your continuing educations, going online. You know, there's a world of stuff out there that you can actually get CE, continuing education courses from. But I say really the first thing, get to know your software. make your template, really make it reflect who you are, and make it a mirror image of what you say in the field. Because a lot of what we do, depending on what the person is following us is, whether they're first time, nervous home buyer, they're a skilled seasoned pro, whatever the case may be, you got to find a way to explain things to people. And then also by having a template and actually modifying it, like I've done mine, verbatim, what I say almost every time will be a comment. I said, so instead of me typing it, praise God, my wife actually got one right before we go back to pre-pandemic, we used to go back to Alaska every year to do a fundraiser for our Rotary group. My wife was stationed there. And literally it's like a night before, and I'm like trying to bang out a report. She's like, why is it taking you so long? I was like, I had a typo. It's like, can't you save comments? And I was like, I don't think so. She's just, let me see that. And sure enough, she saves it. I was like, so literally, and this is right after my wife, we just gotten pregnant with our first child. So she's trying to sleep in. I get up at 4 a.m. every day. So we're 4 hours behind in Alaska. So essentially I'm getting up at like 12 o'clock at night and I can't sleep. I'm so excited. I brought my computer with me. Like literally every time I'm like dragging it over, learn how to Control V, Control C, or maybe I got it backwards, like from old reports, like dragging stuff over. I think it was 13 days of like several hours in the morning. And then I was like, behold. Had I have known, had I have gone to the class the first, I would have saved myself probably a month of my life, but that is the big one. That's the huge one. The next thing I would say is you got to build a team. And of course, in our business, you're only as good as your next one. As a lot of times people say, like, you're only as good as your next referral. You got to get it. So you got to build your team. You got to build your systems. Your template's big. You want to be able to show up and, and show out, so to speak, with a great report. But you got to get out there. You got to meet realtors. You got to show them what you're about, explain who you are and show them those credentials. Hey, I am a certified thermographer. Hey, I do have a 360 camera that, thank you, Luca, taught me how to hook up. So now I take panoramic pictures. Hey, your people can't be here? No problem. You didn't want to pay for Matterport, or they didn't have Matterport? I can shoot them a 360 virtual tour. I'm going to add it. It's on me to the report. It takes me 7 minutes and I do it, things like that. But also, having the right teams, like, obviously in business, you need to have insurance, and you got to have somebody handle that risk side for you, so to speak. Aaron Minlove over Inspector Pro is amazing. The guy, I couldn't ask for more. Every time I call, he asks. It's not like field off to somebody else. I have a particular question. Hey, do I need this type of coverage? Hey, I'm expecting a $6 million house. Is my insurance going to cover me for, heaven forbid, something goes really south, whatever the case may be. And he just like, literally, it's like, he's not like, let me get back to you. It's like, no, for this, or yes, for this. And I get him, he answers the phone every time. So, on the risk side, have that person in place. Like I said, Aaron Minlove is that guy for me. I've actually, all the people that shouted me, use as well, same report. So having the people, having the tools, having the template, that's all really big important things. But one thing I would mention that I don't think is said enough is that SEO, literally, having your SEO set up is good for getting into business. Getting on that front page of Google is never really easy. I tell people,
it's never
I tell people, look, I do things like, some of the best advice I ever got in building was I had a friend that had built a company and it, kind of gone bust, built bust. And like finally the third time he built it and it was just doing great. And I was like, what did you do different? And he said, I stopped being a builder. I became a contractor. And I was like, what does that mean? And he says, I used to be, here digging, the footers, reading blueprints, ordering materials. Like, now I win the business and I hire people to pour the foundation, this, that, the other. It's like, I became a contractor. And I know myself, almost 45 years old, I've never really used a computer. I graduated college without even having email, if that tells anything. So for me to build a website is absolutely a bad idea. But I was really lucky. It's not great. I'll just be straight honestly. It's not my forte. So I hired that out, and that was what got me eventually to where I am. It took a while, but getting there, get ready. A lot of people in our industry don't know they need a home inspection. It's last minute. And if you're the first person they can find on Google, or you're on that first or second page, even second page, sometimes they'll go through and like, nobody there. As long as you're ready, you can get that business. But the thing is, you talk about advising and building a company. What you got to know is every time that phone rings, the way I look at it is you're interviewing for a job from three different people.
Absolutely.
You are interviewing for the person that called you, who probably has a realtor that already suggested another person that wasn't you. Okay. So you're interviewing for that person to do a great job because you want them to tell their families, hey, this guy's great, blah, blah. I had a great experience with Doug from Advocates, blah, blah. You're interviewing for the realtor who didn't want you in the first place, because if you can do a better job, you show them kindness and professionalism, chances are they'll start calling you. And the third thing is the person that sees your report, the listing agent. If you're fair and honest and eloquent and educated, and you're not calling out crazy stuff that I see called out all the time, because trust me, realtors send me like, does this make any sense? Like, well, I've seen it. I've said it different, But you got to realize that's 3 different people there. And I can tell you.
Yeah, that's a lot of different. I mean, that's a lot of different connections just in one job.
It really is. I mean, I own and operate my business, but I'm interviewing every time I go out to work. And I would say if you keep that mentality, it'll bless you. It'll bless your business for sure. It certainly has for me. I mean, I had a former colonel in the Army. I inspected a house, and he was the listing agent. And I got an email. When you get an email from a colonel in the Army, kind of you're like trying to read it, like, all right, here we go. And it's like I've been doing this for 25 years, just so I think I've seen it all, blah, blah. I'm like, oh God, this is going to be bad. He's like, your report was fair and honest, and it was educational. We've agreed to everything that you put on the report because it's fair. And honest. He's like, furthermore, going forward, my partners and I would like to use you as our inspector. I'm like, this never.
Nice.
But literally, it was two of the main players that call me all the time now. I am their go-to guy. But it was just I was fair, honest, transparent. I didn't write it like, hey, your house is gonna, like whatever. Just write it in a way that people understand it and be available afterwards. I tell people a big thing is answering the phone, because I don't just inspect a house. Yes, I inspect the house fully, but I also am like, look, I'm there. Fortunately, with my template and everything I have preloaded. I have on a comment. This is where you shut off the water. Blah blah. This is where this is where you turn off the exterior hose bibs. At this time of the year, you want to drain it, because I literally hit a button. Boom. I tell people, if you just want to, I tell people when you get my report in the same day, because I'm that efficient now. Pick up your jaw off the keyboard when you see how long it is. Click summary. Everything you want to see that pertains to what you're looking to do, whether you're going to turn this house into your home, is going to be a summary. The rest of it's going to be your homeowner's manual. And that's been a really good, that's been a really, really good thing for me, because, I tell people I never erase a report. Whatever they are, whatever the cloud is, it's probably going to crash out of the sky, because I have all these stored in the cloud. But I have people calling 3 years later, and I tell people all the time, it's like, please just don't be the person that calls me in a panic, ask me where to shut off the water, because I'll know, but it'll take me a minute to pull up the computer, and I'll probably want to know why you're so excited,
Right.
But all that's loaded in there, and I show people, hey, I care, because I mean, really, we all know as people that are doing this, like, it doesn't take me much more time just to take a picture of that and click that comment. But it's exactly what I'm telling them when they're walking, because I'm essentially giving them a tour if they're following me around, because a lot of people do want to follow you around. That's cool. I don't care. I tell them lots of times, as much as I talk, lots of times I'll be really quiet, like when I'm taking apart an electrical panel, because I kind of focus. I want to take a ride on the E-train for anybody. So, but yeah.
No, that's all good. All good. I just wanted to touch back on that before, of when you're talking about, knowing when to get help, right? And that as an entrepreneur and owning your own business, that knowing your own strengths and knowing what you're not so good at, knowing what you need to hire out, so that you recognize that you can't build websites, you can't necessarily get yourself on first page of Google,
right?
And I think a lot of people, when they first start their own business, they just want to try to do everything that they can do, and I think I've had numerous, businesses before and everything, and I tried doing it all myself, and I always realized that, okay, well, that's where I went wrong. I was not hiring out for those different tasks that I just wasn't as proficient with, so I think that's definitely a good takeaway for a lot of the new guys that are just starting their business.
It's true. It's true. So you got to humble yourself. Once you humble yourself and admit, like, hey, I'm not good at this, it's so easy to hire that out. And like, I've reaped the rewards of that, because I humbled myself. I said, like, this is not my deal. Just like I'll give you an example. Just like, sorry to interject, Carla, but just like, somebody comes in and the father-in-law or the uncle comes in, they know how to do our job better than us, blah, blah. I mean, I know, deep in my heart, it's gonna be hard to bite my tongue, but let them have but I mean, at the same point, I don't walk into a high school algebra class and tell people how to do math with letters in it, because I don't know how to do it. You pound a nail, build a house, I got you covered. But math with letters, that's a typo to me. But you see, it's like, know your boundaries,
Exactly.
But I knew my boundaries. So yeah, and Carla, sorry to cut you off. I make that example as like, yes, you're absolutely right. I humbled myself.
No, I'm just glad that we've gotten you out of your shell and you're feeling really comfortable talking.
I have a paper bag I can breathe into to catch my breath, or throw up, whatever.
Well, no, I thought it was interesting how, you were saying that you see, a phone call as an interview, right? And the way that we operate from our end of things doing websites is our goal is to get that phone call to you, right? So if your website is dated, or if it isn't easy to navigate and people aren't calling you, but it's like our job for the web team and web services is to get people through the funnel to take that action. And once that action's taken, you're absolutely right. Then it's up to you. It's like we've done our job as like the web services team. If we build or host your website, if someone is filling out a contact form or someone's calling you, we've done our part to get them to take that action. And from that point, it's yours to lose. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, I truly humbled myself. Look, this is out of my wheelhouse, whatever. And I was really fortunate. I mean, I'm forever better for it. I mean, a large amount of my business comes from the fact that I am so highly ranking on Google. I mean, so it's great. I mean, also as well, you got to be ready though. Like I said, my wife's in the Coast Guard. We run our house off simmer apparatus, always ready. I mean, I get a phone call. Praise God, I've got a wife that supports that. She's like, go. I'm like, yes. I mean, I've got backups that have backups of like batteries charged and everything, and cameras, like whatever I need, I'm ready. I got to change of clothes, 2 crawl suits in the truck. I'm ready. Y2K finally hits. Yes. I got this. No, just kidding. It's good. But yeah, no. So that was exponential for my business, because literally, if you're just another person knocking on doors, a lot of these people, and let's be honest, the really good realtors that you got out there, like I've got some rock star realtors. They're not in the office. They're not waiting for you to show up and ask them if you can be your home inspector. So having that presence with the online, other people seeing you online is really good. And then
and that's something that we're always that we talk to people about all the time is, if you don't have a web presence at all, because we do have, some inspectors who are like, well, I get plenty of referrals, and it's like all the referrals in the world, like someone's going to Google you, right? So my realtor tells me to use Doug McCullough, and I'm like, well, let me see what's up with this guy. And if I can't find you online, or if your site is, 15 years old and limping along, I'm going to be like,
on to the next one.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Does he care about his business? And that's why it's important, to stay current, because more and more, I mean, you absolutely have to, be on top of things online in order for people to call you or fill out your contact form or schedule an inspection.
Yeah. My AOL.com website too was like something that was a red flag. Apparently, I don't know these things.
Well, I just noticed it's 1:34. This has flown by.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What? Sorry. Oh, well, I just wanted to see. I wanted to kind of wrap up by asking Doug another question if he has time. I'm just curious to know, if there, like, what would you say is the most challenging thing that you face as a home inspector, and what do you find the most rewarding? And it might be the same thing.
It all kind of plays together, and it is, part of the challenge is finding people. You got to find, like, because having a good realtor that's referring business to you, finding those people is hard. You've got to earn their trust. And that goes back to, like I said, about like learning, like taking advanced courses. Like I'm a certified thermographer. Okay. I've got an absolute rock star. I've got a couple of rock stars. I'll name one just for the purpose of this, as well as a great example. I've got a realtor that calls on me all the time. His name's Sean Murphy. He's with Compass Realty up here. And there have been 2 times that he's been selling a house, and an inspector will come in and be like notating like there's moisture intrusion in the basement or whatever. And I'll see, it's like, literally I'll go to the house like, dude, let me take a crack at this real fast. And the 2 times I've gone out there, like somebody's taking like a actual like contact moisture meter, and nothing against these, but that's really not the best way to find out there's moisture. You can see if there's in the past, you don't know if it's active or whatever. So, I roll up with this with a certification. I'm not just wagging it around. Like I know what I'm looking for. And it's been 2 times. We're like, dude, let me send you pictures of what I found, because this is his listing. But people will come and like, hey, there's this, like, no. And your person is using a $9 tool from Harbor Freight,
Right.
It's like, it's like Big Boss Man versus Gary Coleman. It's like swimming with Jaws. I've got you covered. I mean, look, like I said,
Yeah,
there's no denying. I had the most
having the right tools definitely
having the right
matters.
tools. And I tell people, don't just rely on gadgets, but there's something that can help you to see through walls. So we're limited to escape and visibility. Get it.
I mean, you can see electrical hotspots, moisture intrusion, missing insulation, faulty insulation, like all the things without ever, it's magical.
Right. And it's a two-day short too, because another person contacted me and they're like, could you take a look at his report? I'm like, I have no problem looking at somebody else's report. I'm not going to say anybody's good or bad or anything, but they had a FLIR, they're pointed at an electrical panel, and they're like, one of them is overly hot, blah, blah. And I was like, I saw a picture of it without the FLIR. I'm like, dude, that's a GFCI. It's going to have a different heat range. It's going to look different. I'm like, but if you'd have taken a course, or if you knew this stuff, but here it is somebody from I'm not going to say who it was, but what chain it was. But I was like, just because you can afford it doesn't mean you know how to use it. So that's a great example. I mean, again, that's building trust with great realtors that call on me and tell other people calling me. So that's been good. And I would say that's a challenge to overcome. You got to get good people like that. And by good, I mean people that actually care about their people and know that I might find something. It might be something that their people aren't comfortable with, but that shows how good they are, because they're like, cool, we'll find the next one. It's not like they're not challenged by me doing my job, because in the day I'm a breadwinner. I've got several realtors like that, more than several realtors like that, but that's just a great example. So that's a challenge, the difficulties, and also another difficulty would be like how to explain what you find and do it eloquently. Because, I see a lot of reports where you'd actually swear the sky was falling when it's really not. And it just comes to a skill set. But
the alarmist.
The alarmist. The challenges that I've overcome too, I think a lot of one of the ways I've overcome big challenges is having a very healthy, what we call in the industry, a driveway conversation with somebody. Like before you go on and say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. This is what we're looking to do today. I'm going to tell you about these two different levels of things I'm going to find, and I'm going to allow you, not knowing your skill set, what you're comfortable with doing yourself, what you may want to hire out, all of it will be there. I'll let you decide what is what, but I'll explain to you in eloquent terms. And I tell people, just because you get my report the same day doesn't mean I'm done working for you. When you have questions, I have a copy of that report. I expect you to call me because I'm your home inspector. You can call your realtor, but I'm the one that wrote this and I'm on the hook. I'm your home inspector. I don't go away. Nobody's asked me to go away yet, so that's a pretty good track record, I think. So I got that going for me.
Nice.
But yeah, difficulties. What I find rewarding, honestly, on the flip side of that too, what I find rewarding is I like to tell people, and this one really sticks with a lot of people, so I like to share it. I tell people, look, just like your realtor, when you got a good realtor, you tell them, you can look at them, you can point at that person and say, look, I'm just like your realtor. And the fact that I work for you, I don't sell anything. It costs what it costs for me to do my job today. I'm not going to call you with an extended automobile warranty after this. I'm not going to call you something ridiculous. I don't like, well, I got a guy that can fix this, because I don't. I tell people the price it is for me is the price it is for me. I'm not going to tack anything onto this. And you have to understand, though, just like your realtor, I thought it was a good example like that. When you got a good realtor, I'm working in your best interest. I'm working to help you to make an educated decision. You have to understand, especially with the home inspector, though, almost everybody that comes after me is going to tell you that I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. I should have told you this. I missed this, but you're in luck. They got great financing. We can fix this, blah, blah. I tell people one of the biggest rewards is when somebody calls me and takes me up on my offer. Like I say, I never erase my reports. If somebody tells you something wildly different than what I physically documented in your report that you don't have to share with them because it's your intellectual property, call me before you give them money or sign a contract. And a reward for me, hands down, long answer and well said, I would think, is stopping those people from taking money from people I work with. I absolutely love rushing them. They're like, I had first-time home buyers. Their house is built on a slab, and it had some cracks and stuck on the front. And somebody convinced them that I missed that the foundation was cracked and they need to excavate the front yard to waterproof the foundation. This is a slab. This house is built on top of the ground. They're going to excavate for $6,000 a front yard to waterproof the foundation. I'm like, thank God they called me. So an honest person went there. $300 later, they have new stucco. I told them, look, it's stucco, it's cosmetic, but if you want it to look this way, you're not talking $6,000. But it's just nice to know. So yeah, challenges, difficulties.
Love it.
Yeah, all good. I would say some of the other challenges too, like getting out there and getting there, is that another one of my rock stars. Actually, ironically, has the same last name as Sean. Her name is Angela Murphy. She's the one that got me on this crazy train with Instagram. I had never done any social media. And it was funny because we do a lot of work. She works with a lot of people with like foreign embassies and things that are not here, not present. So we do 360s for them and everything. And she finally like talked me into it. They're doing Instagram. So I was like, she's like, you got to try Instagram. Cause I would always tell her like, hey, if you see me pull out, I have 2 phones. If you see me pull out my personal phone, take a picture. It's not for a great reason. Cause I would like spend time with her. Cause usually it's her and I'd be like, check this out. This is hilarious. Look what I found out here. It's like, you need to start doing this Instagram. I was like, I really don't want, somebody I don't remember from kindergarten trying to rekindle an old friendship I don't remember. No, that's Facebook. They're kind of the same, but they're not.
Yeah.
Picture, you tell people what's going on. It's like she finally taught me into it. So Angela Murphy, Team Navasa Homes, like I said, same last name as Sean, but 2 different people.
Yeah, let's put that out there real quick. You can follow Doug on Instagram, and this is his Instagram right here. I love your videos.
I appreciate it, man. I tell people, like, I'm not there to say like, oh, blah blah. I caught these people. I was like, it's fun, I've got a running string. Like every time I go through Chick-fil-A drive-through, how they get my name wrong. I'm like, is my accent that bad? Or like yesterday they misspelled it, Doug, D-O-U-G. D-U-G. It's just fun, it's stuff we see in the day. Because look, I have a great job. I have a new office every day I go to work. It's so much fun. And what we're gonna find is that, but keep it lighthearted, keep it entertaining, educate people. And it's been great. I've had realtors that pick me up from it. I've had actually people say, hey, I followed you on Instagram. Like, how did that happen? They come inspect my house. And I had another inspector actually send me an inspection because he's not in my area. It's like, this guy will take care of you. Like, trifecta. It's great.
Yeah. And then when you're on socials, on Instagram, it keeps you top of mind for those for those past clients that you've helped.
Right.
And you never know, like maybe it's been years since they've used you last. But they've seen you on Instagram, and so it makes them think about you again for the next house that they're buying.
It really does.
Or referring you to their friends who are looking to buy a house. It just keeps you fresh and current.
You're absolutely right, and it's funny because that is how a lot of it has gone for me. So I was like, man, I should have like again humbled myself and started this a while ago because now I'm seeing like how beneficial it's been to business. So. And from what I understand with SEO, again, I'm not an SEO person. It's like a backlink that also like continues to bring your page up if you have all this stuff linked together. I don't know. That's what I hear.
Well, yeah, sending visits to your site. So anytime, you're sharing that, and if you're linking your social media channels to your website and from your website, then, you're establishing, the connection between them, and people are going to your site because they're like, this guy's wild. I'm going to see what his website looks like. And then, so yeah, it's certainly, social media is such a great tool. It's a really great tool, and people either all in or they're very wary. There's not much of a middle ground as far as like social media goes, but we really encourage and recommend it for, all of our inspectors. It's like, it might feel a little funny. Dan made me get on TikTok, and I don't really understand.
I haven't done that one yet.
It's a fun place. It's a fun place.
No, he loves it. And I'm like, I don't get it. What was it that your wife said, Dan, that she's an adult who watches TikTok on Instagram?
Yeah, that's exactly what she says. She sees all of the trending TikTok videos that have been shared on Instagram.
Right.
Wow.
Well, Doug, we appreciate having you on so much. This has been such a great show, and it's just been an awesome time. And we'd love to have you back sometime if you think that that's something you'd like to do.
I'd love to. I really would. We've got a lot of things going on in my business right now. So yeah, and definitely one thing I will say is I'm grateful for you all because of how easily I've been able to modify the templates and everything. I've actually made my own specialty templates I do for ancillary services as well, which really touch on it maybe for next time. So, if you're going to add rate or anything, like all your paperwork, everything, I'm 100% paperless, which is great. But it's just all like, I can't stress enough again, with HomeGauge, what I'll be able to do is streamline my business, get everything there, my contracts, paperless, payment online, everything's right there. So it's been great for me. So I appreciate you all because otherwise, like I would be like, I would be like 5 years ago, I had paperwork everywhere that I have to file and everything where it's all squared away now. So yeah, I appreciate you. My wife appreciates you all. She's pretty meticulous and organized. So the fact that I have like random paperwork and stuff all over the place, and the fact that I can take this thing with me whenever I go anywhere and work on my template only makes me better as long as I don't do it too much on vacation. So that's cool. That's cool. I appreciate you guys. It's great seeing you all again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
I would love to have you back on the show sometime. So yeah, I thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate it. We
I
appreciate
think we
it.
should plan an episode about ancillary services and what you do during your downtime, because I know that you're probably still working on your business a little bit.
I am.
I just suspect you might be, but it's a little different.
I would say if
Yeah.
you're in Northern Virginia, you're a home inspector, and you're looking for business, I'm looking to build my business. I truthfully, I've been busted the seams long enough. I really have to just face the necessity of it. I'm looking for another, home inspector to come join the team as well. I've got one now, and maybe another one to hopefully looking for another person to come help out too as well. It's
always growing, always growing.
Right on.
All right, Doug. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone that tuned into the live show today. All full episodes are going to be on the HomeGauge YouTube channel, and as of today, full episodes are now on Spotify. So we are officially a podcast now. Spotify. So I'm working,
paving the way to stardom.
I'm working on getting the podcast on all of the other podcast channels, but as of right now, we are on Spotify. You can search HomeGauge, The Gauge, and that you'll see Carla and I's faces on there. So yeah, check that out.
I'll send you an airbrush picture of me with one where I'm holding the sword sitting on this animal.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that next.
I'll sign it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.